Okay, hello there. I'm back. Sorry about that. I had neglected to share it on Facebook. Wasn't sure how to share it after the fact. I guess I could have just gone over there, but decided to go ahead and restart. Sorry about that. Stephanie, I saw you had left a message. You were asking about updates. Not much since our last email exchange, but yeah, not much since the last email exchange. I think today or tomorrow or Monday at the latest, I will go sign the contract for the title to the land where we begin to build the community. And so, again, last week we set up the company. That was done, finalized in the last couple of days. And the lawyer said now that we had that done, she could go ahead and transfer title. And so I just need to go sign something. And I'm not sure if she'll have that ready for me today or if it'll happen maybe as late as Monday. But we are well on the way, which means now the next step after that is going to be to convert that normal ownership to what's called a green condominium, which allows us to develop the specific type of project that we want to do here. And that requires local government permission. Usually the government here takes a long time to do everything. Now, we've been very, very fortunate with building permits. We're able to get our building permits really quickly because the government likes what we're doing. We're employing people, we're bringing tax revenue into the district, and with this big project, it'll be much more so. It'll be even better for the economy here and for the local job situation. So I'm hoping we'll get quick approval on that, so we can make that available as quickly as possible. Which means those of you here who are sitting on the fence waiting, if you're waiting to get involved with the project, you want to do it now for a couple reasons. One of which is that we're offering a current discount, and that's not going to last forever. So you want to take advantage of that while you can. You have an opportunity now, and you can actually help us move it to the next level. Okay, so that's coming up right about now. Lao Tenzu, all is good. Thank you very much. What are my thoughts on minimalist lifestyle? That's Laura. Laura, I mean, I think it's perfectly fine to live as a minimalist, as long as you actually have what you need. I mean, we don't technically need very much. Now, I personally don't believe. I was adjusting my t-shirts here. I personally don't believe that we need to live super minimalist. I mean, you can if you want to, and I'm actually looking at maybe designing a tiny house for those people who choose to have a tiny house as part of the project. Now, of course, the difference here, living in a tiny house here and living in a tiny house, I mean, it's really quite different because so much of it can be outside. So we may use more roofing, but mostly it'll be a big patio with a little bit of indoor space. There may be those who choose to live entirely outside most of the time, maybe have an enclosed bedroom. I can't seem to get this right. If it's just maybe this shirt doesn't fit me so well, right? It seems to, and then always have this issue. Anyway, there I'm looking at myself, so it feels a little weird. Yeah, it's perfectly fine to live as minimalist as you like. I don't believe it's harmful to the planet as long as we are conscious. We can own some books, we can own some furniture. There's things we can own. If you don't want to, you certainly don't need to. You don't have to. And if you prefer to live that way, that's fine. I'm the type of person that likes to have a comfortable home base. And so, my apartment is small. I won't be in this apartment forever, but my apartment is small. Maybe my next place will be a little bit bigger. But the point is that for me to be comfortable requires a little bit more. Now, there are people who have multiple homes, multiple estates even. And is that really necessary to have, maybe thousands and thousands of square feet or square meters of space that's furnished and unoccupied. Is that really necessary? In most cases, I'm guessing it's probably not. So, that I think is definitely overdoing it and living in a way that's not good for the environment. It's not sustainable for the planet. Imagine if everybody on the planet, 7 billion people, wanted to have a 10,000 square foot house, a 1,000 square meter house. That really isn't sustainable. Okay, but if you choose to live in a tent or you choose to live in a relatively modest home, I think they're both fine. I think we can still live gently enough on the planet that we can afford to indulge a little bit and be comfortable. The planet has the resources for that. It doesn't have resources if everyone insists on, living in ways that are simply unsustainable. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Thank you, Lauten Zhu from Portugal. Looking forward to seeing you too, Stephanie. Jerry says, good morning. How does fasting affect depression? Does jet lag affect a fast? And can you fast the day before arriving? No, I ask you not to fast before arriving. We actually want you to begin your process here. You can start on the Saturday you're traveling if you want to, but I would encourage you not to start any sooner than that. You do not want to be active while you're fasting. I don't care if it's the first day. It doesn't matter. I mean, you're not conserving your energy. You're being energetic. Even just traveling can take it out of you. And so, you can do it the day you're traveling if you feel like you can handle that, but I wouldn't do more than that. I wouldn't do anything earlier than that. You're refeeding your process here. I mean, our agreement is start to finish. And your refeeding process is based on the length of the fast. So if people add fasting time, it doesn't really work. They're not going to have enough refeeding time, and then they're going to wind up being on their own when they may not really be ready for that yet. Fasting affects depression very positively. Most people who come to us with any type of depression immediately, very, very quickly feel much, much better. And most people complete the process feeling significantly better emotionally than they did before. And so, yeah, it's incredibly powerful what happens. Bendova, hello. Sheer says, hey, Loren, I have a hormonal IUD called Mirena for birth control. If I come fast with you, can I still keep it in during the fast? It wouldn't be a good idea to do that because it's affecting your hormone levels. You would be far better off taking it out and letting your body actually rebalance things the way they should be. If you then choose to affect them again later on, that's up to you. But while fasting, you would be negatively impacting the process by affecting your body's hormone levels in an unnatural way. So I wouldn't recommend that. I mean, it's probably not the most dangerous thing in the world, but it's definitely not, you don't want to in any way manipulate the body or negatively affect the process. And that's what would happen if you were using something, in this case, an IUD, which, hello there, Chai, which would be affecting your hormone levels. So most of you, if you've been here for a while, I recognize most of your names. Probably know Chai. He's now been here for, what, 9 weeks today. 9 weeks today, which makes him about 13 and a half weeks old or so, and having spent most of that time right here in this apartment. Hello, Judy. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I guess you mean from that brief interlude when I closed the original live and came back on. Michael, hello there. Hey, Loren, thank you for your plethora of information. You've changed my outlook on life. Every time I'm my 4th or 5th day of water fasting, I get terrible heartburn. Is that normal with water fasting? Well, it can be. Each situation is different, but it certainly happens sometimes. again, as you probably knew I was going to say, really the key is to have someone guiding you through the process so you actually know exactly what is and what isn't okay. And we're measuring vital signs. We're talking with you. So we have a much better sense of what the symptom is, why the symptom's occurring, what it means, what the impact is. And, and as you continue, make sure that you stay safe and actually get as much benefit as possible. We continue to hear from people how much more powerful their process is here than anything they've tried doing on their own. So, I hope at some point, Michael, you'll come spend 4, 5, 6 weeks with us, more if you choose. It will almost certainly be the single most beneficial thing you've ever done for yourself up until now. Okay? So we have a couple of super chats. Again, super chat is where you make a donation, which allows me to be here. And that means I immediately go next to your questions. So there's a couple of them here. You see the first one, Power Drummer, just donated $10. Thank you so much, Power Drummer. I really appreciate that. There's no question attached to it, although maybe as I scroll down, we'll see one later on. And Ken has also donated $10. Hello, Ken. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Ken says, good morning, Loren. Thank you for helping change the world. What are your thoughts on avocados and coconut meat? Okay, so first of all, I think a good starting point is to remind everybody that the cell nucleus of every living cell is made of fat. And so you don't have to consume any concentrated fat in order to get fat, right? We're always consuming fatty acids every time we eat anything, right? So yesterday was actually an atypical day for me. I love pineapples, but don't eat them so often. But yesterday I had watermelon for lunch. Was it watermelon for lunch? I think so. It usually is. And then I had pineapple for dinner, and actually had with avocado. That's unusual. But, it could be watermelon and papayas, or watermelon and mangoes, or bananas and, whatever. It doesn't matter. Every single thing that we eat from nature contains some fat. So we never have to eat concentrated fat. Now, if you do want to eat concentrated fat, avocados, a ripe avocado, is far easier for the body to handle than coconut meat. Technically, coconuts are considered fruits by botany, but I doubt many raw vegans with any experience living on a fruit-based diet would consider coconuts as fruit, because the flesh of the coconut, your body handles that very much like it handles other nuts. And to me, a coconut is a nut. I don't care what botany says. Botany changes its mind all the time anyway. So today they say that the coconut is a drupe and that drupes are fruit. And, it could well be that next year they're going to change their mind and call it a nut or something entirely new. Who knows? It could well be that it deserves its own category. I don't know. But to me, it seems very much like a coconut's a nut, and that my body processes the coconut flesh just like it processes other nuts. And that is to say, not so well. A little bit hard, a little bit difficult to digest, not the easiest thing for the body to deal with, probably not optimal. And so avocados are perfectly well as long as we don't overdo it. There's a limit to how much avocado your body wants to handle at one time. There's a limit to how much concentrated fat, even with avocados. The difference is that with an avocado, a fruit, as the fruit ripens, the fat's broken down into the component fatty acids that make it up. And so that's relatively easy for the body to handle as long as it's ripe. But with nuts, even if they're enzymatically active, you're talking about something that is much more difficult for the body to digest and seems easily overwhelming. Like, I'll sometimes eat some coconut flesh, but it doesn't take much to really be too much. Okay? So for me, quite a significant difference between coconuts and ripe avocados. All right, we have another super chat here. Marike, hey there, Marike. Thank you so much. Marike has made a donation of €5.49, and she has said, "Hi, Loren. When and where, in which countries you'll speak in Europe? I cannot find upcoming events in Europe on your website." Well, you can't find those events because we haven't actually posted anything yet. I have been so busy that even though it's already coming into late February, we haven't yet posted anything for the summer as of yet. I'm still working on my schedule for the next break, let alone the one after. As most of you probably know, in just 9 days, we start our fruit festival here from the 1st to the 8th of March. And after that, I'll be doing a little bit of traveling and speaking, but still don't know exactly what's happening yet. So I think what's happening in terms of what was decided earlier is that I will be landing in Frankfurt, traveling up to the part of Germany called Sauerland, which is a beautiful area of rolling hills and pastures, some orchards. It's farmland, mostly countryside, about 2 hours north of Frankfurt. And I think we're going to be doing a weekend event there, although not much has been organized yet, as far as I know. So we'll have to get on that if it's going to happen. From there, my plan was to travel to Amsterdam, and then from there over to the UK. But I don't yet know. Every year that has happened, I've been speaking at the UK Raw Festival. This is not the Fruit Festival. Unfortunately, I'm unwelcome there because Doug Graham won't speak if I'm there. So they won't invite me. And so I'll be speaking at the UK Raw Festival, but I don't know if it's happening yet. If it happens, last year they canceled it, and the organizer asked me if she wanted me to organize some events for me, but the timing didn't work. And so I didn't make it to the UK last year for the first time in many years. I'm usually there every summer. This year, it's up in the air. So if they have the festival, I will be there. And that means, among other things, I'll pass through Belgium and France, but normally just passing through. I'd be happy to do events there if there were people there who were interested in organizing. Getting tangled up in my cord there, try. Okay, so right now, that's all I know. There was also some possible talk. I was invited to come back from the organizer back in December, to come back and do some bigger events in Sweden. That's a possibility. It's just a question of time. I'm not yet, there's still several things up in the air. It looks like I'll probably have most of the summer free. We close here on the 4th of July. And from there, I can travel pretty much right away and don't really need to be back here until around the 18th or 19th of August. So I'll have about 6 weeks, which means it will be possible to get to various different places. Okay, hope to see you. It would be great to meet you in person, having seen you on Skype. All right, and there was another super chat, which now has disappeared. Let me scroll down here and see if I can find it. I am somehow not seeing it. So if that was you, I thought there was another one. Maybe I was mistaken. Let me see here. I'm still trying to figure out how this works. Yeah, anyway, I don't see it now. If I scroll all the way to the bottom, nothing comes up after Marike's. So let me come back up here and go back to the other comments. Let me see, where are we? Okay. There we go. Okay, so Marika said hi, then Lab Tenzu said, does blood volume have anything to do with overall hydration? Can you have enough blood volume and still be dehydrated? What about the opposite? Yes, there's a relationship between them, but they're not the same thing. You can indeed have enough blood volume and still be dehydrated because blood volume is incredibly important. And so while overall hydration is also important, having enough blood is more important than having hydrated skin or discs or joints or what am I forgetting? Yeah, eyes, for instance. So disc, joints, eyes, skin, these are examples of things that tend to become dehydrated as we age. And you can have perfect blood volume and still have those things dehydrated, okay? Whereas you cannot be hydrated and have low blood volume, because your blood volume is so important that if you're fully hydrated, your body's going to take water from somewhere to make enough blood. I mean, obviously, if you bleed a bunch, then yes, you might not have the blood volume you need temporarily, but your body's immediately going to go about fixing that. You're not going to be walking around fully hydrated but with too little blood. Okay, that's not going to happen. Michael says, also in your seminars, are you coming to Southern California for a conference in the upcoming year? If so, when? Appreciate you. Thanks so much, Michael. I really appreciate your comments. I don't have anything planned for Southern California at this point. I'd be happy to go back there. It's been a while since I've been there. I have in the past spoken around LA and San Diego County and Orange County, actually most of the California coast, but it's been a few years. And it's really for lack of an invitation. I need someone there to organize to make it worthwhile. I would typically be doing a number of events in different places. I mean, I did do a private event just a year ago, I think. I was in LA for another event and wound up doing a small private event there, but that's a little different, okay? There's a super chat here. William Thurman, hello, William, says, first of all, has made a $20 donation. Thank you so much, William. Can you fast someone on insulin injections? If so, what's the procedure? Yeah, someone taking insulin, this is a type 1 diabetic who requires insulin because their body's not making enough insulin to regulate their own blood sugar. That person can indeed fast. And we fast type 1 diabetics all the time. They continue taking insulin. It's perfectly fine. They need to monitor it carefully because what they normally do in terms of the slow-acting insulin, their needs are going to be much different, okay, in most cases. And it's important that we undertake the insulin, right? Because if you take too much insulin, your blood sugar drops. The only real thing you can do to bring it back up is to consume some sugar. And that means your fast is over. So what we want to do is we want to take less insulin than we need and allow the blood sugar to go up a little higher than we normally would. We don't need to manage it quite so carefully as we normally would. It's perfectly fine if we don't manage it so carefully. Okay, that's fine. It's not a problem. Blood sugar can temporarily be a bit higher. We don't want it to be high. We don't want it to be super high. But if someone's managing their blood sugar in the 100, let's say the 80 to 120 range, and it were to go up to 140 or 150 temporarily, that would be okay. We wouldn't be concerned about that. And again, as I've been talking about this, we just had last weekend, we had a diabetic leave us who left here with perfect blood sugar, no medication, perfect blood sugar. We almost always, now type 1 diabetes, it's very difficult to eliminate it completely. But with type 2 diabetes, we can usually, so far, 100% of the time, that's pretty usual, we can get people off of the drugs and with perfect blood sugar. There's no need for to take any more drugs, as long as someone continues making excellent choices. Obviously, what happens after the fast depends on the choices people make. Okay, I actually have somebody here now, and this morning, he's been active. He speaks Spanish. He's been leaving the site. Came back in the evening during a meditation the other night. At 8:30 and 8:15, I guess we were wrapping up, and he's walking back in. And this morning, I'm looking at his numbers, and I said to him, Are you eating anything besides what we're feeding you? Well, some vegetables. Are they cooked? Well, they're only boiled. Like, dude, what are you doing? Okay, you just spent all this time cleaning out your body. You're already putting stuff, before you even leave here, you're putting stuff back in your body that doesn't belong. That makes no sense. Okay, it makes no sense. Obviously, the choices you make afterward make all the difference in the world. Okay, if you want to feel and function better than ever, you need to consistently make excellent choices. But that's simply what works, right? It's not about what's right or wrong. It's just what actually is effective. Okay, so can fasting help a sick pancreas? Yeah, absolutely. The pancreas is no different than any other organ. Given the right conditions and opportunity, the body can almost always heal it. And it usually will, as long as we give it the chance to. And so we fasted with many people with pancreas issues. Can you tell me if fruit juices are good for cancer? Well, some people would say fruit juices are good for cancer if you want cancer, because the concentrated sugar is going to be problematic for rampant cell growth. So someone with cancer probably would not want to be consuming fruit juices. Now, honestly, and I'm guessing you're not a regular listener here, because most people who follow me closely know that I don't believe in using juices. I mean, it's okay to have an occasional, assuming you don't have an issue, it's okay to use an occasional juice, to have an occasional glass of juice as a treat because it tastes good. You know, on a warm day, it's cold and it's sweet and it tastes good. It's a treat. But we're never going to improve on whole foods. And so someone with cancer should be eating an optimal diet of fruit and soft, tender leaves, fruits and salads. That's the very best you can do in terms of diet. Consuming juices is never the best thing for anyone to do, and certainly not someone who's dealing with a significant issue. Juices are overly concentrated, largely oxidized, imbalanced, fragmented, unnatural substances. And I personally would never consider them health foods. So, I mean, juice is better than Coca-Cola, but, you know, juice is far inferior to eating whole foods. So stick with the whole foods for the win. Fasting is going to be the most powerful thing you can do to allow your body to heal. And then you want to follow that up by eating properly. And you should be fasting with experienced guidance. So, I mean, if, you know, for people that aren't able to get to Tanglewood, I guide people through fast via Skype and guarantee you far better results than you're going to get on your own, because you have to really know what's going on. Okay, it makes a huge, huge difference. Let's see, where were we? Boris says, hi, Loren. Hello there, Boris. Bieber, okay. What do you think of zinc deficiency? How much zinc do we need since the body doesn't store it? We need tiny amounts of zinc. It's a trace mineral. We don't need to worry about zinc in most cases. If your body is working properly, zinc is never going to be an issue. It's not something we really need to think about. Boris says, does eating less mean living longer? Yes, it does. There are now hundreds of studies that demonstrate this with all kinds of species and with people too. I mean, if you look at the people on the planet who live in the blue zones, where people live the longest, without an exception, they eat fewer calories than average people do. They also all eat a plant-based diet. And that doesn't mean they don't eat any animal products. They all eat some animal products. But I live in a blue zone. And here, where people are still, most people, relatively poor, they eat relatively small amounts of animal products. And it's mostly plants. So they eat rice and beans and vegetables and fruit. And, you know, it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than what most people eat. And they eat mostly plants, and they eat relatively little food. And there's a lot of other reasons why people in blue zones live as long as they do. But eating less definitely means living longer. No question about that. No question about that. Okay, so I've got a couple more super chats here. Let me go to this one first. This is Marike, 549. Marike says, do you know something about what tattoos do to your body? Does the ink dissolve when you fast? Yes. First of all, I do know something about what tattoos do to the body. Unfortunately, tattoos are harmful to the body because even the very best vegan tattoo inks are still toxins which don't belong in the bloodstream, and they're going into the bloodstream. And so for anyone listening, if you don't have tattoos, or in fact, forget that. Let me just say this. Don't get any tattoos. Now, if you already have some, that's another question, right? But whether you have them or don't have any, don't get any more, okay? Don't add tattoos. If you really care about your health, you're adding to your body's burden of toxicity, and there's just no reason to do it. I mean, I've seen some cool tattoos, but personally, why don't you make a really cool shirt, which you can then put on and you can take off when you choose to, instead of having it permanently on your skin. Many people regret their tattoos later on in life anyway, when things are sagging and they're fading, you can't see them very well, and they're making the person sick, because there's no question about it. There's a link between tattoos and certain conditions. They make the body toxic. So does fasting help dissolve the ink? I can't say I've ever noticed that. I mean, they dissolve over time, but I can't say we've seen someone fast and go, wow, look at the change in your tattoo. I don't think I've ever seen that happen. It doesn't mean it's not possible, but I've never noticed that. Okay, we have another super chat here. This is William Thurman again. Can you fast someone on insulin? Oh, I'm sorry, it's the same as before. So William, it just showed up again here for some reason on top. This looks like the same question you asked me, so I'm hoping you heard my answer. That yes, you can fast someone on insulin, and that should be done with experienced guidance. And the procedure is checking blood sugar and taking insulin when necessary, understanding the changes that occur when fasting without eating. When taking insulin without having food, it's going to change your body's blood sugar and insulin relationship. And so you have to understand what's going on there. Okay? Okay, Sheer says, also I drink 3 liters of water slowly during a day. My boyfriend thinks it's overwhelming to the body. Can you explain? And that's good for someone who never fasted. I mean, I don't know if 3 liters is enough for you or too much. It could be that it's more than your body needs, but most of the people I've seen probably need to drink closer to 4 liters or more when they haven't fasted, even when they're eating optimally, okay? Because even eating a high water content diet, you are not going to ever hydrate the body until you clean the body out. And because water is going to be absorbed by this giant sponge of old waste sitting in your intestinal tract, most people need to drink at least 3 to 4 liters of water. That is not a problem. It's not overwhelming to the body. 2 healthy kidneys can process up to 1 liter per hour. Now, I would never encourage anyone to drink 1 liter per hour. I've seen people get in trouble doing that. But you can drink half that much as long as you drink it slowly. So you sip slowly over the course of the hour, okay? That, 500 mils or 16 ounces, roughly the same thing. You sip that slowly over the course of the hour. You're not overwhelming your kidneys. It's not a problem, okay? You're not flushing out electrolytes. Now, if you drink that 500 mils in 10 minutes and then wait another hour before you drink another one, now you're creating a problem, because at the time in those 10 minutes, you're drinking that water at the same pace as if you were drinking 3 liters an hour. And that's 3 times faster your kidneys can process. So in the moment you're drinking 3 times faster than your kidneys can process the water, and that's going to create a problem, okay? So you don't ever want to do that. You want to sip water slowly, but you can sip 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 liters a day or more if you need to, as long as you're only drinking it at the rate of 500 milliliters or 16 ounces per hour, taken slowly over the course of the hour. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Hope your boyfriend understands. The sheriff says, do you agree that the sun can actually prevent cancer and sunscreen contributes to it? Yes, indeed. We need exposure to sunlight. and sunscreen is definitely toxic to our body. So putting toxic substances on your body will indeed eventually lead to cancer. The key is to not overdo the sun. Now, I mean, this is a place where I feel like more than a little bit of a hypocrite, because I live in the tropics. I love body surfing. I was at the beach a couple days ago, day before yesterday, and I mean, fortunately, unfortunately, the waves weren't great, so I didn't spend that much time in the sun. Now, my body can handle quite a bit of sun because of my diet. But, if they're big waves and I spend 3 or 4 hours in the tropical sun without any protection, I don't use sunscreen, I'm going to burn myself. And this is the result of repetitive sun damage over many years. I'm about to be 59 years old in just over, 2 months. And I've gotten a lot of sun exposure in my lifetime. And so too much sun is harmful to you. But sunscreen is virtually always toxic. Now, there might be some organic, non-toxic brands out there. I don't really know of any, but there may be some, that aren't so bad for you. You want to be careful what you put on your skin. Again, I don't believe in putting things on the skin if you wouldn't be willing to eat them. And so I typically don't use anything. But, if you do choose to use it, you want to find the healthiest thing possible. Ideally, what happens is, the best way, I think, is to simply not get more sun than your body can handle. Okay, it's that simple. So if I'm on the beach, I mean, I'm not lying in the sun. I'm lying in the shade most of the time. If I'm walking on the beach, I'm wearing a hat. Depending on how long or how much, again, if they're big waves, I'll put on a shirt when I'm on the beach because I'm already going to get plenty of sun exposure while I'm in the ocean. And so I'll protect myself a little bit with a t-shirt and, a ball cap, something to protect my forehead and the top of my head, which is less protected than it used to be back when I had a full head of hair. Okay, let's see. Where are we? Bendova asks, during their feeding, do your clients keep resting as much as possible, or do they start being active if they're able to? During refeeding, you can start being active. I usually encourage people, if someone's fasting 21 days or more, which is almost all we do here. I mean, in a session, we'll have 60 people fasting, maybe more, and maybe a few less because we have some people that are here for the whole session. This session we have one woman who's still here, has been here from the beginning, 9 weeks now. We've had 5 people leave last week that had been here from the beginning, fasting, for 35 to 39 days. We have one person who leaves tomorrow after 7 weeks here. So we have these people that are here for quite a long time, which means we have another woman who's still fasting, who's been here now for 7 weeks, fasted 40 days. We'll be here for the next week, and then for the Fruit Festival, still refeeding. But because most people are here for 4 or 5 or 6 weeks, we see a lot of turnover, and we might have 1 or 2 people doing shorter fasts. But for fasts of 21 days or more, for the first couple days, I recommend that people still continue to rest. In fact, because getting enough water in is really difficult, if they're not resting between meals, they're probably going to have a very difficult time getting enough water. If they're trying to be active, even if they feel energetic, if they're being active during that time, it's going to be hard to get enough water in. So I encourage them not to. But starting on around day 3 for most people are perfectly fine getting physically active at that point if they feel up to it. Okay. Let's see. Stephanie says, wonderful. Sounds great. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'll bet you are. You're very welcome, Sheer. Thank you for your comments. Bieber says, no need to rest if not needed while refeeding. That's right. Bendova says, you say people create problems on their own in the fast. What kind of problems do you usually see? Well, there's all kinds of things. I mean, the bottom line is, if you don't really understand what's happening and what the various symptoms mean, how can you know? Okay, and so we've seen all kinds of issues. People get themselves dehydrated. People drink too little or too much and wind up with electrolyte problems, which can be really serious. I mean, it can take months to straighten that out. People create situations where they're not going to be able to move the old material out. And I mean, the number one thing is that they simply don't come close to maximizing their benefit. So, I mean, if you needed brain surgery but didn't have the money, what would you do? Would you do it yourself? I doubt it, right? This is probably the single most powerful and beneficial thing you can do for yourself. It pays to find a way to raise the money to get experienced guidance because it makes such a huge difference. Okay, that's my line. I'm sticking with it. I hear this from people all the time. So much better. Okay, let's see. Marquis says, can I do a long fast on tap water alone? Well, I don't know where you live. If you live in Denmark or Sweden, the tap water might be okay to drink, depending on where you live. If you live in the United States or the UK, you absolutely do not want to drink your tap water. Okay, it just depends on where you are. In most cases, tap water is nasty, toxic stuff with chlorine and fluoride and other things in there that no one should ever consume. So the answer is absolutely no. Get yourself some good quality water. Go find some spring water. If you can't find it, buy it in glass bottles. Okay, if you have to, get a reverse osmosis machine and drink RO water, because that's better. I mean, tap water is not something anybody should be consuming if you live in one of these places where the tap water is toxic. Here, our tap water is untreated spring water, right? So everything running through my bathroom sink, through my shower head, through my toilet, it's the exact same water that we drink here. It comes out of the ground roughly 500 meters from here, and we pump it up to a tank where we distribute it, and it's perfect water. And so, if that's your tap water, that's fine, but that's not most people's tap water. Let's see. Sheer says one last thing. I eat raw in 3-hour windows every day. When I start eating, I get very binge prone and massive cravings for raw fats. What's your advice and why do you think it's happening? Well, my guess is it's because your body is detoxifying and really wanting to slow that down. And so, if you haven't done an extended fast, I mean, everybody here, I don't care if maybe you feel really, really good and healthy. Every person I've ever fasted comes out of the process going, incredible. It's amazing how good I feel, right? If you can follow directions and complete the process as you should, then you're going to feel amazing by the end of a fast, even if you feel good right now. And so you might be thinking, yeah, but I'm healthy. I don't need to fast. You still, if you're 20 years old, you've got 20 years of garbage in the body you need to clean out. And fasting allows that to happen in ways that nothing else does. There's nothing else that even comes close. Proper water-only fasting. Nothing comes close to it. Nothing comes close. And so I think that's what's going on here. That's my guess why you're finding it necessary to eat the way you are. I would encourage everyone to eventually move towards eating no more than twice a day, although you may or may not be ready for that. And it sounds like in your case, you would just have much greater cravings if you gave your body these big windows that you're not eating, right? As you may know, I haven't eaten yet. I don't eat anything until 2 or 3 in the afternoon most days. All of my eating happens in a 4-hour window most days. And I say most days because there are some exceptions. There are times where maybe I've got some kind of a social event or something, and so I may be eating later than I normally would. And sometimes maybe I'm in a farmer's market in the morning, not when we're open. When we're open, I'm here making calls, seeing clients every morning. When we're closed, I may make my calls, go out to a farmer's market, have several hours from 10 o'clock. Well, I mean, I might be free from 10 o'clock the rest of the day. I mean, normally I'm working, but, it could be that I'm out. If I'm at a farmer's market and someone says, hey, try this, like some amazing fruit, I'm not going to turn it down just because I don't normally eat them. I can make those exceptions. But I think that's what's going on for you. Sure. Slawomir. I'm sorry, I'm probably murdering your name. I apologize. I want to make sure I'm spelling it correctly, reading it correctly here. But hi, Loren. Have you got experience with scoliosis? How can I support your live chat? Yes, thank you. I do have experience with scoliosis. Scoliosis, as most of you probably know, is curvature of the spine. Usually, this is something people are born with, and it's, there are braces that people wear with scoliosis. There can be surgery if it's severe enough. I would certainly not recommend surgery unless someone is really in a difficult place. If you can, for most people, most of the time, I mean, I may have scoliosis. It's never been identified, but if you don't have the normal bend in a healthy back, then it could be scoliosis. And I suspect that may be true for me. But I don't care. It doesn't stop me from functioning perfectly. I've had people say, your back looks weird. I'm like, okay, thank you. That's fine. Again, we're born with various issues. And in most cases, we probably don't need to do anything. We have seen people with scoliosis see some improvement as a result of fasting. And I believe what's happening is that as they become better hydrated, they become more flexible, and the body is able to come closer to the shape that their spine should take. But that's, I can't guarantee that's going to happen for anyone. We have seen it on various occasions, but I can't guarantee that's going to happen for every person because each case is different. And it just depends on the specific circumstances for that particular person. Okay, in terms of how you can support the live chat, I think it's at the bottom somewhere, although I'm not really sure. There's something called a super chat where you can click and make a donation, and that's how you do it. You donate that way, and if you donate, then yeah, I go right to your question. And I see here, Jerry, thank you so much, 2 euros. Power Drummer 53 asked a question, Loren, Control F. So let me try it now. I'm on a Mac, so I don't know if it's going to be the same thing here. And I'm really not particularly, no, nothing happens when I Control F on my Mac keyboard. I don't know if anybody has an idea. Now, again, when I scroll, I don't see, let me just do this again from the top all the way to the bottom, so maybe I can see Power Drummer's question. Bear with me for just a second. I'm scrolling down here. Poodle Freak says, hi, Chai. Where'd you go? Chai's behind me now. There he is. By the way, you can see Ash over there on the couch. And look, this is Princess. So Princess has shown up. I was just about to say, I don't know where she is. But now she has shown up here. No, Agua. Igor, what are your thoughts on vitamin D supplementation in northern climates? Vitamin D supplementation might be necessary for someone who is in a northern climate, but is something you want to avoid when possible. Again, I'm going to scroll down here. Power Drummer. Okay, Power Drummer, here we go. Can raw seaweed, so Power Drummer, I don't really know how this works, but when you make, in the future, when you make a donation on a super chat, right there you can type your comment in, because all I see with your super chat is just the donation, okay? So I had to go scroll down here to find your question. Power Drummer 53, can raw seaweed be healthful to eat? If we do not eat seaweed, how should raw vegans get iodine in our diets? Okay, so raw seaweed, it's one of those things that's not really optimal, and there are several reasons for that. First of all, raw seaweed, by the way, now I have 2 kitties on my desk, but they're out of view of the camera, so you can't see them. Raw seaweed contains vitamin B12 analogs, and B12 analogs look like B12, but they're not B12. So we have B12 receptor sites. It's kind of like a lock and a key. The B12 comes along like the key going into the lock. The problem is that the B12 analogs go into the receptor sites that we have in the body. They occupy those sites, but they don't do anything for the body. And then when real B12 comes along, those sites are occupied and can't accept B12. And so I don't recommend using seaweed with any regularity. It's okay to have seaweed on an occasional basis, but it shouldn't be something you're consuming every day, in my opinion. Now, iodine, fortunately, is available in the soil. There was a study where they looked at wild animals all over North America and found that the only ones that were iodine deficient were the ones from the part of the plains states where they grow all the cereal grasses, the same corn, soy, wheat over and over again. And so they've destroyed the soil there, and there's no iodine there. We need tiny, tiny amounts, trace amounts of iodine. When they started iodizing salt years ago, that was because the average person was their bodies were so toxic and their diets were getting so bad that they weren't able to get the iodine from the soil, from their food, from the soil. The plants get it from the soil, we get it from the plants. That's the way it works. It's in the food now. If you're eating real food grown on real soil, you're getting trace amounts of iodine and should have no trouble. It's very unlikely you'll become deficient. But Mark Tassi has made a $4.99 donation. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that very much. I don't see a question related. Again, I'm going to go back in here and scroll down and see if you've asked a question somewhere, because I haven't seen one yet. William Thurman. Okay, nope, that's the same one. Yep. Yep.
Loren, Karen come hoy.
¿Quién?
Karen.
Ah, sí, a las 10.
Sí, yo le tomé los signos, pero quién sabe cuánto.
Siempre. 2 onzas, número 1. Gracias.
Claro.
Okay. Power drummer, I'm sorry, I don't, I see the two, okay, those are the 2 questions, 1 and 2, right. Yeah. All right, let me see if there's anything else here. Canada Fruit Fest, I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure what the question was here. I see Canada Fruit Fest. I was at the Canada Fruit Fest last year. There won't be another one. It's going to be a vegan fest this year because Ted Carr is no longer eating fruit. I mean, he's no longer living on a raw vegan diet. And so he's decided to make it a vegan festival instead. Okay, bananas have iodine. I gave a $10 super chat donation today and asked 2 questions. Okay, so hopefully I've got you covered now, Power Drummer. And in fact, I've got to go give a lecture. So I don't think there's anybody that I've missed. Thank you very much, Jerry, for your help, because I may have not screwed. This is the problem, guys. When you do the super chat, again, I don't know exactly how this works, but you should be able to make the donation at the same time, ask your question right there so it shows up, because sometimes I won't have time to scroll to the bottom. I mean, if we're busy, unless someone tells me, I won't even know there's a question if it's not listed with the donation. Okay? Oh, I see Mark here. No questions yet. So thanks, everybody. I appreciate you being here. It's been great spending the day with you. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. It's not too late to join us for the Fruit Fest. We still have a couple of, we have some availability in beds, and then we have camping spaces as well. It's going to be an amazing event. I hope you can join us. And if not, I very much appreciate you spending your time with me. I appreciate each of you that made a donation. That's very generous, and it allows me to keep doing this. And I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye.